So, pretty much what we're looking at here, or actually I'll just start off for VOD purposes. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation. I'm Blaze, bringing you guys a game between Absolute Legends and 3D Clan. This will be an interesting game here with a relatively new roster from 3D Clan, picking up Stalianer and Sadoy, and so far, so good. It really seems to be working out for them, having Sadoy in the off lane and Stalianer in the mid. Played so well in Game 1. This is Game 2, by the way, of this best of 3 series, but Game 1 was just really full control coming out of 3D Clan. They had great wards coming out of Dread, they had great mobility coming out played by Solo, and Stalianer got some great hooks off too. Separate the battlefield with the cogs, and who can say more about Sadoy in the Dark Seer lane, up against the Luna, just pulverized her, couldn't get any last hits, just shut down for farm, and from there, they're going to keep that aggression rolling with a Nyx Assassin pick really early on. Good, solid drafting from them. They have left the Keeper Light and the Batrider open, which Absolute Legends snaps up like that. They are raring to go. They want a little bit of vengeance, and they want to be in control of this position. Last time around, AL had Syndra pick up the Keeper Light. He performed nicely with a couple blinding lights, but beyond that, really what they were looking for there is just pushing away and controlling the lane specifically. Nature's Prophet, though, coming out again, and if Solo can play him as well as he did last time, Absolute Legends is in for a world of hurt. They really have to be able to respond to this extra person. Always have TP scrolls ready. Always be able to retaliate and respond to anything that's happening near their towers. Because if they don't play as a team, they're going to fall individually, and that's not going to work. They really need to instead kind of grab this thing by the reins and just take it to them, because the last time around, 3D, they started off strong, and even though they had a late game carry of a Phantom Lancer, they didn't need to secure their late game. They had control of the early and the mid, which is pretty ridiculous, all things considered. And so I gotta say that is, in general, just really smooth play by 3D, and Absolute Legends has to respond. We'll see what strategies come out next, but the Batrider alone is very powerful in his lane or in the jungle, setting it up so that he'll get an early Blink Dagger, be able to initiate and pull people out of position very nicely so that they can really take control of things. Along with that, the Firefly allows him to ignore the Nature's Prophet Sprout. It allows him to dish out a ton of damage quickly. The one thing he does have to worry about is that there's a lot of incidental damage with that Firefly, just laying flames down on the ground. Nyx, all he has to do is pop off that Carapace and walk right in. Suddenly you have a 2.7 second guaranteed stun on Batrider that hardly costs you anything, and from there they can lock him down if he's in a bad spot. So just something to consider, but they do pick up the Luna, which is one of those carries Batrider loves to lasso on in if he gets the opportunity. However, 3D Clan doesn't want that to be the case. They want to be able to control a little bit better and try to move in towards some aggressive gank-oriented type stuff. They have the Nyx Assassin with his invisibility. If not countered, he can initiate very effectively with large front-loaded burst, and Luna can follow up very nicely with that Eclipse. So jungle ganks are going to be the scariest thing, and Absolute Legends has to be really good about their sentries. 100%. If they don't buy a ton of sentries, they are going to have a hard time right off the bat, because we already saw how Dread loves to ward up the jungle aggressively, and if that happens again, Absolute Legends are going to have a hard time finding farm. So right now, picking up the Phantom Lancer, keeping the light lane, we all know that one. Some of us hate it, but it's a very powerful lane nevertheless. We have to acknowledge that. And the fact is, PL is going to find some farm here. Keep the Light's going to keep him, just give him tons of room to kind of blossom into that mid to late game carry he needs to be. So that's going to be the idea behind their lineup here, is trying to make sure that PL can just carry away. And it's so powerful. Spirit Lance with the Chakra Magic, just keep on infusing it over and over again until he just harasses whoever he sees out of the lane. From there, free farming away, he'll be finding himself with a pretty good position early on to put out get some really good items, to get the Diffusal Blade, get either Tranquils or Treads, the Drums, or the Heart. I mean, just plenty of different ways to build them, but the most important thing is to make sure they have plenty of stats to work with, and that his illusions are dealing large amounts of damage and are very durable as well. Alright. So, what we're looking at here as far as bans go is a Shadow Demon and Rubik taken off the board. They don't want Absolute Legends to have that secondary support option that would really reinforce their lanes. I mean, that would make it so that it's impossible for the Nature's Prophet to offlane, or maybe even another long-range hero like the Dark Seer, which was already banned out, as well as that Clockwork, which was such a menace. Both those taken off the board. From AL, the next one they look at taken out is the Tinker. A little unorthodox, but I can definitely see it being very frustrating for Phantom Lancer with those marches just rolling on out, dishing out a ton of damage over time. And on top of that, the fact that if the Phantom Lancer can't auto-attack, if he's blinded out by that laser, then he's really not going to be able to contribute as much as he would intend. Taking off the final support, the Leshrac of all things is kind of awkward, but I guess with the Spirit Lance, it could be synergized into a stun that follows that powerful, powerful nuke. And it's just something they don't want to have to face, taking it on out. And from there, what does Absolute Legends have as far as options? They're looking for an offlane, maybe go for a Windrunner. Could be very promising to try to get some good shackles off. The Nature Prophet practically setting himself up for it when he puts down a specifically lined up Sprout. So that could be very, very promising. But right now, banning out the Storm Spirit. They're going to take out their mids. They're going to make sure that Solianer doesn't have as many of his signature heroes up his sleeve, because Solianer plays both that Storm Spirit and that Clockwork to great effect. And I guess the Tinker, I haven't actually seen him personally, but I'm sure with a person of that skill, with that utility, that he could probably play that hero to great effect as well. Taking those on out, Solianer doesn't have as many options as he'd prefer, and he's going to have to be looking for one or two very, very niche pickups that'll work in this scenario here. They need some AoE damage. They have the Impale, they have the Wrath of Nature, they have the Moonglaives, but if Phantom Lancer picks up that heart, Luna's going to need a heck of a lot of auto attack damage to be able to actually deal with it directly. Heck, they might even go for a Gyrocopter for the mid. That could be extremely effective and have some late game potential as well, but for right now they go for the Enigma, and I think there will actually be an offlane Enigma for Sidoi. I've seen it before, it's very, very effective, and they had such great effect with solo running on the jungle with the Nature's Prophet. I think it'll be very powerful, and I think that the Enigma is exactly what they want if they're going to try to get some hardcore lockdown in a small cluster. The thing is, though, Absolute Legends does not intend to get in a small cluster, does not intend to oblige them on that. The Bat Rider and Phantom Lancer will be relatively close as you're lassoing in the person he wants to right-click. But beyond that, I think AL is not going to draft some longer range heroes that can take a little bit of a step back and not have to just jump all into one tiny little sphere. Without the Magnus, without the Darkseer, they can't control the position that way. And from there, Enigma is just going to have to get some really, really powerful 2 or 3 man black holes. The 4 or 5 are probably not going to work out for them in this scenario. So, beyond that, I'm curious to see what Absolute Legends has to answer back with. They are going to be looking for, again, some support. A lot of different things have been banned out, but Keep It Light Phantom Lancer, you have most of your lane right there. So, there might be going something that can do a little bit of dual jungle action with Keep It Light. The Chinese scene used to pick up Jakiro to coincide with Coddle very, very frequently. I'm curious if that's what they want to go with, or maybe the Bane, using... Whoa, okay, they pick up their mid for the moment, or... Not sure if it's going to be their mid technically, but they pick up the Brew Master. It's going to be weird how they lane it, but they definitely have the Brew available. What I'm thinking they might just do is a 3.510. What that means is that they're pretty much going to have one in the jungle, a tri-lane down on bottom, a solo mid, ignore the top completely. They don't know how difficult it's going to be facing off against that top lane. It's a very unpredictable thing with that Nyx Assassin who can roam around aggressively, and if they don't have a stable offlaner, they're going to have a hard time doing that. Bat Rider has been picked up as an offlaner multiple times over. I'm just very concerned for how it'll work out for him long term. I believe Stalianer is going to pick up this Gyrocopter here, Sidoi is going to go on the Enigma on the bottom, Solo is going to have the Nature's Prophet in either one of the 2 jungles, and from there Nyx Assassin is going to support the Luna up top. But as far as the Absolute Legends lane, I know they're going to have Keep It Light and Phantom Lancer down on bottom. Bat Rider has the options of the jungle or the suicide lane, whichever he feels safer in. Presumably the jungle would be more reliable, but it might not be as efficient as far as experience gains there. Either way, the Brewmaster is probably going to be picked up on mid lane here, and we'll see how that pays off, but it's a very powerful pick. The last thing they have to go for is something to help control the lane down on bottom, something to set up the Keeper Lights Illuminate. That's why I mentioned the Bane. The Nightmare, very, very good at not only reducing Gyrocopter's AoE damage from Flat Cannon by enfeebling him, but also using that Nightmare to set up that Illuminate over and over and over. So personally, I think the Bane is the perfect pick in this scenario, because he can also, on top of that, use his Fiend's Grip through the BKB that comes out of either Luna, Gyrocopter, or even maybe Enigma if he does get that BKB blink off for those big black holes. But we'll see. Either way, the Brewmaster is a very solid pick. It forces BKBs early for the Gyrocopter or Luna, because otherwise the Drunken Haze, the Earth Panda Stun, even the Tornado from the Wind Elemental is going to be too difficult to deal with. They're not going to be able to focus. But they go with the Chen for the moment, and I think if they luck out as far as Troll Warlord ensnares and so on and so forth, that they'll be able to make this work. This lineup will be very powerful. The issue that they have with it, though, is that Bat Rider doesn't have a choice for the jungle anymore. He has to go for the offlane, and although that may work out because it's a 2.5 up top, Nyx Assassin is still really, really good at controlling that lane. So Bat Rider, I think, is going to try to do a little cutesy trick where he goes and swoops in with Firefly to hide in behind a layer of trees, and then just pick up experience by being just barely in proximity. If their offlaner can accomplish that very effectively, it'll actually make their lanes very, very solid. But otherwise, Batrider in general is going to have a little bit of difficult times moving and making sure that he is actually getting reliable gains toward that Flaming Lasso and then later towards that Blink.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Alrighty then, so picking on into it, we'll get on into game 2, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Quick pause to completely negate that thought, but not a big deal. So we see Miggle right now picking up the Batrider. We have Mania on that Chen. Unicorn, of course, picking up the Phantom Lancer. Cinderin on the Keeper Late, and this time around, Brewmasters on the being piloted up by Miracle, so that'll be pretty interesting. As we see, Solo, this time around picking up the Enigma. Might be looking for a offlane Nature's Prophet, where he can use the Trents, just kind of put them in this position here, aggro the creeps up, and kind of pull them on through down towards a safe farming position right around here. So that'll be very promising if that's what he wants to do. But either way, the Luna and the Nyx Assassin are going to be heading up towards top. The really good question is how active Nyx is going to be in ganking. If Nyx Assassin moves in towards that mid lane, puts some pressure down on Brewmaster, coinciding with the Gyrocopter really early on, it's going to be very nice. Now, I talked about this Gyrocopter pick a couple times, but I'll rehash it just once more, pretty much looking at the fact that he is able to control the lane very nicely in a 1 versus 1 environment. The homing missile is much more reliable. It will be able to deal that damage and that stun, and he can follow that up with some powerful rocket barrage action, which, if he's not near creeps, will always deal a huge amount of damage, even at rank 1. It's pretty ridiculous. So from there, he'll try to control runes as best he can. He's relatively quick on his feet, 315 base MS, comparing that to the Brewmaster and his 300. So until Brew picks up a Blink or Phase Boots, Stalianer is going to be a relatively good position to control the runes unless supports intervene. From there, if the Nyx Assassin is ganking on in, Gyrocopter can follow that homing missile up after the Impale and really make it so that the Brewmaster won't die. He's way too darn tanky for that, with a base strength of 23 and a gain of 2.9. But the fact is, if they can just push him back and make him a little bit more afraid to go for the CS, knowing that the Flat Cannon can just burn him down so quickly, I think that Miracle will be much more hesitant to try to go for aggressive plays on Stalianer. And once you start getting some reliable farm on the Gyrocopter, you've already started on your way to victory, because the Flat Cannon damage will negate those Phantom Lancer illusions and make it that much more difficult for a Unicorn to actually be able to dish out a ton of damage. He's going to rely mostly on his single target damage and not through the propagation of illusions or the stats that they provide. And I think that's going to be making it so that Unicorn is going to have to just rely solely on that 4.2 edge gain to make sure that he himself is very powerful, rather than the illusions doing the work for him. Alright then. So we still have Nyx Assassin still connecting on in, and I believe that's not sure. I guess that's Dread, yeah. Nyx being picked up by Dread, but has not yet to come on in, so hopefully he'll be able to figure things out in a moment so we can get on into it. As we're still waiting. But as far as this Nature's Prophet Enigma, as far as who goes in the jungle, who goes in the offlane, both of them are great in both scenarios, but I don't know. Shoot, it looks like Dread might have died. That's very unfortunate. Very great loss to Dota, and he's been around for a while, so that's the fact that this might have happened just now. Really really makes me sad. That's devastating. Immediately posted to Reddit. It's obviously true. Solo told us, so. Okay, anyways, no, we're pretty much looking at this Enigma going in the jungle, the Nature's Prophet going on the offlane, but they could switch that up. The Enigma's great in the offlane as well. Like I said, it's just really who wants to be more safe, who wants to be more reliable. You're going up against the Keeper of Light plus Phantom Lancer. It's not an easy duo to take on directly, so that's going to be a little bit awkward and a little bit more difficult to deal with directly. But one thing to keep in mind is you can't just fully abandon this lane now that the Chen's been picked up. Although the Chen adds even more pressure early game with creeps that can gank up, like the Dark Troll Summoner. One thing to keep in mind is that if you don't defend that, if you're not there to even get ganked, then they're going to look at picking up some very powerful push creeps. They can go for a Wildkin, Tornado up, and go for the Toughness Aura. Things along those lines will stabilize, and just with the simple Basilius, we've seen how powerful that those armor bonuses can make it to push on creep waves. Left and right, the 3D clan was all on top of the thing as far as controlling the map, making sure the towers were dropping down quickly, and making it so that the carry didn't have any stable places to farm. They started that off with the Darkseer creep skip, followed that up with a Nature's Prophet and his powerful push. Now we're going to see that on the other side of the coin. Absolute Legends trying to take the initiative to put a little bit of push pressure through with an Illuminate, with Mania, and his very powerful creeps that he controls with forgot it, Holy Persuasion. But anyways, it's going to be very difficult for them to counter push. They don't really have that much to work with here. The Flak Cannon is nice. Nature's Call can help out a little bit. But they don't really have hardcore counter push right off the bat. And for that reason, if they can't get to levels where they can actually start retaliating through team fights, if they can't get to the point where Enigma has a black hole and some mobility, even Tranquil Boots is fast enough generally, if he can't control that kind of pace of the game, then they are actually going to be losing a lot of their footholds when it comes down to these towers, and they don't really have much to answer back with early on. That'll give more and more advantage to move Brewmaster in towards that blink mobility so that he can get multiple claps off through it, and with that provides attack speed slow. That gives you movement speed slow. That makes sure that you can bring down anybody who pretty much is right near you. And if you can find an opportunity where you can clap on 3, follow it up with a Primal Split, that's going to be a relatively one-team fight. Absolute Legends just has too much follow-up with the Illuminate, with the Bat Rider, to really lose anything in that position unless Solo plays something extremely, extremely risky and goes for a powerful black hole right in their face. Either way, though, we see things starting off. Finally get to check out the items here, and it looks like Miggle's actually going to pick up Boots of Speed to start. He is going to try to survive as best he can, getting pooled Mania's wards and picking up one of his salves. He doesn't actually go for an Iron Branch for some reason, because, you know, who needs a GG branch when you've got Firefly? But pretty much what he's looking to do is be so very fast in warding up the jungle so that they can negate the hard camp, negate all these spawns. If they can accomplish this without him really being caught out here, this is an amazing game. They aren't going to be any creep spawns, and it's going to force the Enigma into the enemy's jungle instead. That's not what Solo wants, and he has no idea right now. Cue the Indiana Jones music, because this guy is just roaming on around inside undercover, and this is only just now going to be spotted out. He gets a final ward off and is going to be able to walk away from here. Now he gets mana burn, but just fireflies down the cliff. He's like, see you guys, I can go where I want, and pretty much just ask them to grow wings as he just spurts on away. So pretty much what we're looking at here is there's no sentry wards out and available for 3D Clan. Controlling this position here, getting 4 wards to counteract, negating these pulls completely, 100%, no jungle camps whatsoever, and that is really, really painful. I mean, Solo is literally going to have 1 camp to work with. That's not going to do. He's going to be forced in the enemy's jungle, and guess who's waiting for him? Yeah, that's right, it's a Chen. And so Chen will be able to pretty much turn the creeps against him himself, and because they haven't done the same thing, because all these camps are wide open, that makes it so that Mania is just ready and waiting to actually fight against this Enigma, who honestly doesn't have that much presence without the points in his Malefice. He has Eidolons, they do a decent amount of damage, but unless they're going for a right-click battle, he's not going to win. He's not going to be able to pursue, he's not going to be able to lock them down, and from there, Solo is about to realize that he is in a really, really bad spot to start off. Sees his Satyr, he's going to be like, okay, everything's perfectly fine, farm up 1 camp, no problem, and then he's going to transition, and it's going to be very, very awful for him. He's going to realize that he is pretty much just soaked dry as far as potential jungle experience, and what they thought was going to be a safe lane where they get the jungle experience for Dread and Solo, and the free farm for Medved is going to turn in the opposite direction here. Not sure. I guess Solo's even popping off his Clarity. I'm not sure what this positioning is about, but either way, we do see up on the mid lane, there is a dual mid with Cinderin and Unicorn here trying to put pressure onto Staliana, and if they can win both bottom and mid lane, they're in a great spot moving forward. Miggle stacking up the hard camp, pulling on the easy camp, trying to make sure that the creeps aggro at the perfect timing, and they're pretty close to it. Yeah, 1 more right click, they're going to at least aggro this range creep here, if not a little bit more. They have stacked this up to double Centaur, so they're in a good position there as well. Smoking up already, Mania with a double damage. The Trench walking right on top of them, but has no idea. He thinks he has vision here because of this Trench, but no. Here comes some damage. The clap goes on through. Mania with big double damage hits the Satyr as well. Shockwaving up. 1 more right click is all they need. They get it. That's going to be first blood for Mania. Nice movement. Perfect timing on the clap. It just was not expected at all because he thought he had vision. He had this Trent. He's like, oh yeah, we're perfectly safe. Nope. Getting dived on now. Shockwave damage coming out. If he gets clapped up again, he is screwed. So they're using the Satyr, using the shockwaves again, and yeah, they're still keeping that damage up. Sodoi being pushed back once more, meaning that this tower damage is going to be considerable very, very quickly. He doesn't have a Basilius. That's not going to help him in that sense, but it's not that big of a deal either way. So 3D Clan does the only thing they can do, which is push themselves to put pressure out and put big tower kills on the board. Medved takes a couple hits himself, but with this Basilius he's already managed to pick up, he's in an okay position to do some damage to this tower. But the question is whether or not it's too late. They are dropping it very, very quickly, but the same thing is happening down on bottom. The first one who brings down the tower can technically try to reinforce the other with the usage of fortification and TP scrolls, but it might just be a 1-for-1. Oh, big damage coming to Zadoi. He's going to try to TP out. It's enough damage. He gets the crit. I don't think he needed it, but either way, Miracle picking up a kill on Zadoi once more. Really, really helpful for them, and now they have first blood on the Chen. They have a kill on the Brewmaster as well, so they're moving on forward, getting a lot of gold right off the bat, and really just changing how this momentum worked out. Now Sadoi needs this deny. Can he get it is the question, and looking for it. They're playing around with it so long, but the TP comes on in. He's biding his time. Sadoi doesn't get the deny though. Oh, the stun comes out. The deny comes on from the Nature's Prophet. Instead, Miracle's going to fall. Perfect timing. Dread and Sadoi together making things happen here. The Stout Shield, the Salve, keeping up for the moment, but the Impale will come on through in just a little bit. Gyrocopter coming on in. Has that homing missile? No. Just going to use the Rocket Barrage. But Mania trying to pull him out. Use the Test of Faith? No. Invisibility by Saliner means he can get the kill on both. Miracle just a couple right clicks. He's down. One more. There it goes. Does not get Test of Faith back. It's just too long of a duration. The base duration here at only rank 2 is actually a 5-second delay, which is a world of time for them to be able to bring him down. So, nice maneuver. That's really, really making it so that both teams have a really, really powerful starting point in this game. The Enigma has been delayed a decent amount. You see Solo's experience. He's only at level 3. He is kind of falling behind. He's not even above the Chen at the moment. Mania just having this free jungle to work with. But in general, having a couple kills on board for the Chen and for the Brewmaster is nice, but losing that tower kill really, really cost them. The tower kill went up on the top lane, and that was last hit by, doesn't matter I guess, but I think it was probably the Luna herself. And from there the deny came out from the Nature's Prophet. So they, as far as kills, they're still one behind, especially with that first blood on the board. But the fact that they got the deny on the tower in the last hit there makes them have this substantial goal advantage right off the bat. And of course that's what really set them up for the game last time around. And so, although Unicorn has tons of late game potential, he's going to have to use it to great effect if he's going to hold the line here. Solianer getting an aggressive position here, gets actually slowed up a little bit, so he's going to take some right clicks either way. That Rocket Barrage rank 2 is doing some hits though. Unicorn is going to have to tranquil up to make sure he's in a good position after he gets a few last hits of his own. Medved closing in on level 6. When he gets that, he will be that much more effective. Level 7 even more so. Really, really wants to put some high pressure out, but Batrider is coming on in. He's been doing alright here. Level 4. Can't complain too much at all, and he's actually just on top of the Enigma, so it's pretty nice. And he'll be able to stay mobile, stay active, and here does come a Lucent Beam, and that is a rank 2 Malphus. One more stun instance, but I don't think it's enough. Actually, with this TV from Sadoi, it 100% is. I did not see Sadoi TP on in there, but now they're going to transition this into a push. Still have that Bassi up on Medved, and although Keeper Lights Illuminate will actually be powerful. Carapace, nice timing from Dread, stunning out onto Cinderin, making sure that they can dish out that damage, and yeah, that's going to make him think twice about trying that again. Instead, they don't even push off on the creep wave. Well, he thought twice, and then he did it anyways. But it's actually hitting onto the Nature's Prophet, pushing Sadoi back, but the tower falls too quickly, and it will be given to the Enigma here. So, getting control, and all they have to show for is Miracle pushing down on bottom. Does get that Primal split up, and wants to team fight with it aggressively, but he doesn't have that much mobility. Getting the Arcane Boots is great for helping his team sustain, and you make sure that the Keeper Light doesn't have to focus entirely on Chakra Magic. But what you get in the Arcanes, you lose in the fact that you don't have Phase Boots. You don't have that much mobility. You can't close the distance for those claps. And so they don't really have initiation. The Batrider, far from the Blink Dagger. The Keeper Light, always sitting on the back line. So really, as far as closing in the distance, Brewmaster doesn't have anything spontaneous. Can't blink, can't phase. He literally just waddles on in there and tries to go for a big clap, which is rather predictable. So I don't think this is just going to allow them to really start fights off without actually using the Primal Split before they're ready to. It makes it a little more difficult, but the good thing about this is their movement. They're smoking, and they're able to stay in a really, really good spot even when the enemy is generally faster than them. The Gyrocopter is 365 MS, but with this 15% increase and this Phantom Lancer slow is coming out, nice movement from this Hellbear, clapping up. The cooldown does come on through, but Stellainer just gets bursted down too hardcore. I gotta say that was a nice move from Mania. Beautiful Hellbear placement, beautiful action from the Centaur, and they're just going to push this up for a tower kill of their own. It can be some retaliation from the Enigma, but he is still level 5. He has rank 3 conversions. He has very, very little potential in an actual teamfight engagement. So they're going to come on in, try to help things out here, but they need Dread to come into play. They need Dread to initiate very effectively, get a double impale off at the least, if they want to actually put some pressure out here. Now we do see Stallianer jumping on in, has that double damage available, and the Flat Cannon rank 2. So he's going to try to dish out some damage with that, but we'll see how that pans out for them. Brewmaster needs to get some Magic Wand action if he wants to actually sustain while they go for these dives and engages very, very aggressively. So Mechanism coming out for the Enigma in no time at all, and that's going to help them fight that much more powerfully. If the Nyx Assassin has an extra 250 HP up his sleeve, that's a dramatic increase. He's only sitting at 625 right now, so jumping up to what, 770 or 875, comparatively speaking, that's a gigantic leap that he can get. Generally speaking, one more Carapace cooldown out, so it's only a 14-second cooldown, and being able to use that second time in the middle of a fight is a huge, huge impact for them. As far as that mech, it's still got a long time coming. We're looking at about 350 gold. Actually, a little bit more than that, about 450. But either way, it's going to set them up nicely to move in if they can just hold the line for now. But currently, the healing advantage goes towards Absolute Legends. They have the Hand of God, they have the Mechanism available, and Unicorn will keep just being able to right-click away. Along with that, the Brewmaster ranking up his Drunken Brawler allows him to dodge and crit up like crazy, and he can get so much out of every little HP boost he has available. So he's going to get very, very hard to kill extremely early on, but that still doesn't make him invulnerable. He's still one of those heroes that they can focus down pretty hardcore, especially if a Black Hole is committed on multiple heroes. Miracle is generally going to be incidentally caught within, just because he's going to be one of those guys that likes to be up on the front line of things, beside his Phantom Lancer buddy and sometimes the Batrider as well. Speaking of Batrider, moving in towards level 7, has that Napalm maxed out, the Flaming Lasso available, and he went pretty much, he shot up in his GPM. Jumping up, he now has 44 last hits. He just gained about, oh my gosh, like 1,200 gold in no time at all. He was sitting on practically nothing, Tranquil Boots and 600 gold, and now he's sitting at about 18, almost to that blink. And when he picks that up, it's going to be so powerful. He's going to jump in. Oh, wow, big, lots of creeps going for the call down and the Flat Cannon going across. A lot of damage coming out. The Hand of God keeps him up for a little bit, trying to Test of Faith him back, but instead just gets locked down here. And it looks like Test of Faith was offensive, and instead it's just going to be the death of Chen. Big takeoff there, and even wanting to just punish the Troll Summoner here, saying you're not getting out of here alive. Sprouting him on up. We do see the Primal Split Up popped off in mid, but this Eclipse can follow up to bring down the Brewmaster if they can just get this Malphus up. Nice Tornado holding him back for now, and it looks like the Brewmaster will be able to walk away, but still popping off that 160-second cooldown, and they didn't get a kill out of it, so they survive, and they just have to fall back from there. Meanwhile, on bottom lane, that engagement was 100% in favor of 3D Clan. However, the winds of change are blowing here. Miggle picking up that Blink Dagger allows him to jump on in and just be so very aggressive. I mean, he might be moving towards some durability next or just a Force Staff, but either way, he is going to make sure that if he gets somebody, he's going to pull them into the Thunderclap. He's going to pull them into the Illuminate. Yeah, even some abilities of the Chen can be set up very nicely in that regard. So that's going to be, it's just so very effective for pulling them into the right position, making sure that they can accomplish exactly what they need to. And although Luna will have some durability with the Drum of Endurance, +9 strength is only so much, and having that long of a disable is a completely different story. Now, one thing to note, as we see this pressure going down on the bottom lane, is that there isn't much in terms of detection. Nyx, the Dread, does have that Sentry Ward available, does not, however, want to commit to it under tower. Instead, we have this big flank to gang. The Blink coming on in. Solo pulled out of position. No Black Hole at all. He's going to get locked down here. Too much damage coming out. He did mech up, though. Still alive. Looking for the Black Hole. No, the Eclipse comes on through. Too much damage from Medved. Mania didn't get taken down immediately. And although there's some action from the Dark Troll Summoner, everybody else has fallen by the wayside. Brewmaster gets dropped down. No Primal Split means no life. And now the Tier 1 tower will be forfeit as well. Completely in favor of 3D Clan. The fact that Enigma didn't get his Black Hole off was not a big deal. They put so many cooldowns into focusing him that Luna was able to just walk in through without any creeps to dissipate it. They was able to pop off a full Eclipse and just completely deliver all the pain that he needed to finish that off. Easy cleanup, and Medved sits now 2-0-1. Look at this gold grab just completely go in favor of 3D Clan. They already have one match under their belt, one game under their belt, so in this best of 3 series, if they take this down, they are going to be proceeding on through with one more point as far as this match goes, and that long term is going to put them much closer towards the playoffs, which they definitely want to if they want to be able to make some cash out of this tournament. But either way, with this mechanism, with the Eidolons and the Trents from the Nature's Call, they're going to be able to bring down this Roche in no time at all. As I say that, he's dropping down to 1k HP, and that's going to be an easy peasy Agency Immortal for the Luna. Going to be able to stay alive, stay active, but it looks like Stalianer wants to pick it up. Yeah. So he is immortal, and it looks like they're going for a double drum, so a little bit of redundancy there, but, you know, every little bit of stats helps. There's a great item on most heroes. It's just generally favored more for the aura than for the passives. Either way, Stalianer and Medved both have that option available, and along with that, he has a second life through that immortality. The Aegis really setting him up to play as aggressively as he wants to, because if he can jump on in and dish out huge amounts of damage with that Flacken and Cold and then come right back up, do it again, there's really nothing that he has to worry about, and he can just control the pacing of the fights as he moves on forward. So we see Miguel really wanting to use that blink effectively, but he needs allies to support him here. Like, Miguel can go in and harass all he wants on Sidoi. He can even counter out that teleport with the... wow, nice blink timing. Actually, really effective. Dodges out throughout the nature. He could have been in a bad spot with the TP that was coming up top, but just making sure that he's not having to worry about that really preemptively avoids all that kind of damage coming on in. Now, big thing here is the fact that we've seen this mechanism up on the Enigma for quite some time, but Mania is still a little behind. Despite the first blood, despite a second kill on the board after that, or at least assisting on it, he is still 300 gold off that mechanism, and he just, at this point, he has Wildkins. He should just be farming away. He can stack up camps, he can tornado them down, more Wildkins everywhere. Birdies everywhere. But anyways, Mania needs to be looking to just get the finished up mechanism, because otherwise his team can't really fight. The Phantom Lancer isn't building HP. He has Embracer, and that's about it. And I guess the same could be said for the Batrider, who only has 950 himself. So those two could really benefit from the health, and the supports can as well. So every little bit counts there, and if that mechanism can just get online, their Gyrocopter's call down will not be the end-all be-all of a team fight. But until that point in time, they are kind of struggling right now, trying to hold on to their towers, trying to hold on to these engagements. But we do see them taking the initiative up on the top lane. This is really good for them. Although they don't have the blink from Miracle, Miguel can find the Nature's Prophet right here, and he wants to go for him. However, the Brewmaster is so far away, they're going to go for it, but they're trying to bait him a little bit, maybe delay it out a little bit longer, and now go for the Napalm after that, but without any mana. They have to go for the Flame Break. Nice Hand of God bait. Sidoi going to get clapped on down. Good coordination between Chen, but now back in mid. They are looking for some kills. Nyx Assassin getting desperately, very close to be able to actually put some pressure on Cinder. And speaking of, Illuminate coming out, going to hit on multiple. Stalianer and Medved take a big hit from it, but Gyrocopter finishes off that tower with a double damage haste, and he'll just be heading up top to counter-initiate up where they are out of position. Malvis comes on out. He's trying for the Primal Split, doesn't get it just yet. Instead, the Black Hole holding him in, trying to disable him more, but no, the Primal does come. He will go on the run. He wants his Earth Panda to die and the Wind Panda to run with the Windwalk active, but we'll see if that works out for them long term. Instead, dishing out some disables. The counter initiation though is lacking. Miguel is not here. The Earth Panda is still alive, and they're just pretty much holding it hostage. Now Miracle will get dropped down here without any blink. He is completely eviscerated as Luna finishes off with that Lucent Beam to clean things up. Meanwhile though, Phantom Lancer pushing down on tier 2, uses those illusions, uses that rank 2 Doppelwalk to make sure that he can put pressure out on the tower, and with that Aqua active, has no real difficulty finishing that off and getting a little bit on the board as well. So controlling the tier 2 on bottom is specifically instrumental in taking out care of Roshan. Rosh, the Dire can TP to it so effectively and just run right on in. So if you want to control it in the later stages of the game, they need to take down this tier 1 in mid. They need to take down the tier 2 in bottom, and they've just about accomplished that. Mania had that mechanism used, and so he doesn't really have much more here. He's going to take a lot of damage. Too many right clicks coming out. Medved doing a lot right now, and we do see also that Sidoi is in a bad spot. The double napalm enough for that auto attack to finish him off. Instead, we do see that they're just going to pretty much clean house, finishing everybody that comes on forward. And although the Chen creeps are doing some nice action to the tower, they end up just putting it in deny range. I'm curious to see if 3D Clan wants to go for the deny here. They definitely have the option, and in a gold sense, it would be favorable. But in a map control sense, they're going to lose that position, and that's a little bit painful for them as well. Either way, though, they're happy to take the gold off the board and make sure that there's not really that much opportunity for Absolute Legends to bounce back, because right now they are behind, and they need to not only take a team fight, but follow that up with a permanent advantage, like a tower kill or two, or the Roche for that matter, which will be coming up in about 5 minutes. Speaking of, Stalianer's Aegis Immortal, just over 1 minute, about 1 minute 20 seconds. He's going to have that item for that much longer, and then he's not really going to see the benefit. He kind of as it were, needs to kill himself as fast as possible so that he can actually benefit from the HP and mana restoration mid-fight. It's very, very powerful. Mechanism up. Looks like Enigma wants to go for that BKB, not relying on the blink. Solo thinks that if he can just keep his ulti rolling and make sure that it cannot be disabled, then he's going to be in an okay position to actually find himself with a pretty powerful black hole. Used it on a solo Brewmaster last time around, so we haven't really gotten a chance to estimate how powerful his black holes really are, but I'm curious to see what he can come out with, and he really has a lot of potential with that hero in general. So, I mean, Enigma isn't somebody that we see all the time nowadays. When you compare it to a Magnus, who's instant rather than channeled, there's a lot of advantages and disadvantages. But either way, so far he's played it very nicely, and I'm sure that that's going to keep on going that direction. It looks like Nature Prophet is once again going for the Shadow Blade, trying to go for some mobility, some offensive potential to split push and things along those lines, but Gyrocopter beats him to it. Gyrocopter goes for a Shadow Blade himself, beats him to the punch, and Stallianer is now in a very aggressive mode. He can pretty much just jump on in and play the role of a pseudo Nyx assassin. Pop off that Shadow Blade, roam in real close, get a big physical damage hit right off the bat, and then follow that up with a bunch of disabling slowing mechanisms that can make sure that that kill is secured. So that'll be very, very interesting moving forward. But beyond that, they have a second Shadow Blade. They can not only use this in conjunction with one another to set up a lot of burst damage, but also try to make sure that they're very mobile on the map, controlling things, getting long-range sprouts, homing missiles, what have you. The one thing to note about this, though, is that Miracle has his Blink Dagger up. With that, he can pretty much go for a Geometry Sight with no trouble at all. The 2 Shadow Blades and a Nyx Assassin, that's a lot of invis that you can counteract just by picking up 1 gem. And Brewmaster with a maxed out Brawler is the best carrier for that, and he does actually pick it up just now. So Miracle has that gem in the bank. They do see a smoke coming up with that double damage active, and they want to put some pressure on Sudoi here. They were already doing that previously, and they want to pretty much seal the deal here. But this Illuminate, going to give them away 100%, and maybe not the best course of action, but it's what they decide to do, unless they want to try to make it seem like Cinderin is baiting with single Illuminates, and it looks like that is the case. Still smoked up technically, but nope, they're just going to clean things up and reveal themselves, showing they want to take this tier 1 by storm. And without the fortification, it seems like there's really nothing that 3D Clan can do to retaliate. They're making their way up that direction, but it's already too late. Dread popping off the Vendetta. He himself was roaming around quite aggressively. Has a Geometry Sight himself. That is mostly for map control. We saw this used to great effect on the Shadow Demon last time around. So Dread just loves that gem early on, tries to bring down the wards. Speaking of, let's check out the Radiance Vision. They have some action on their own Ancients. A little bit weird, but it most likely won't be countered except by that gem. But along with that, they don't really have much more aggression. They have Sentry Wards everywhere, but that Geometry Sight should be well its way, and actually Miracle already has it available. Now looking for some options here. Dread is nearby, but he does have that Carapace rank 2, so he can kind of make sure that they cannot stay on top of him no matter what they try to accomplish. Sudoi, however, just pounding away at this mid tower, popping off the fortification. They're doing the same up on top, but without any Fortify available, it's going to go to Absolute Legends. They can do pretty much different things. So right now they're going to go for the TP back, and that makes that they get a free, unrequited exchange here. Mako looking for a little bit more pressure on the Prophet, but he's going to TP on away. Either way, that means they got a tower killed, the enemy did not, and they're very, very happy for that, as their gold graph is finally moving in the positive. Really, really needed to get that derivative up in the right direction. 4-staff up on Miggle. He's going to be looking to really, really pull something out of position here, but speaking of Nyx Assassin roaming on through, he knows how far forward Miggle is, and they're looking to initiate. They have this smoke, they have possibly the Vendetta up and at him as well. Yeah, possibly actually just the Vendetta on himself. Stallianer, the one with Invis Rune. So neither one of them smoked. But anyways, we do see this initiation. Miggle in a bad spot. Single black hole pulling in 2 pandas. He doesn't even get the tornado off for some reason. I don't know why, but either way, there is a big, big hand of God keeping everybody alive. The Eclipse comes out from Medved with that BKB up. It's just too much damage. They're all dropping down. Stallianer and Biz for the moment, but Cinderin's going to be the one to fall, as well as Stallianer. Now Sudoi on the run here, and Unicorn just delivering a lot of hurt, but he can't stay on target. Oh, the Fusel Blade lets him stay on target, and there he's going to be able to bring him down. Looking for Medved, he gets lassoed up. Nice move from Miggle, and that really, really cleans that up. It cost them a buyback, but that's exactly what they needed if they were going to be able to clean this fight up without dying even more so to the Luna. Pulling back in Dread he gets cleaned up as well. The Geometry Sight on the ground, that's a double gem for Brewmaster. He's got 2 eyes, might as well get some extra double detection up, and that's going to make sure that I don't have to worry about those Shadow Blades one little bit. Even if Brewmaster dies, despite the Primal Split, despite the huge durability of the hero himself, they'll always have a backup. Just save that gem in the base, and that means that for the next, I don't know, 20 minutes or so, they could easily still have that gem, at least one of them active. So that can be very, very nice for them, and I think that Miggle's buyback, although it was a little costly, sitting around 680, it was well worth it to bring down that Luna, as she expended 1 BKB charge down to 9 seconds here, and Miggle just exploiting that with the Flame Lasso and the damage coming out therein. Roshan respawning, definitely something on both teams' minds, but as far as the specific timing and targeting, we'll have to see which one tries to jump on that first. Looking back at the experience graph, it's been a little bit back and forth, but for the most part, we've seen a distinct advantage for 3D Clan prior to this point, and then just now with that exchange, Absolute Legends coming out on top by far, getting a really, really big level leap that they've been looking for all game long, specifically the supports. Absolute Legends supports Chen and Keeper Light have been sitting so very low. That's not the end of the world because both Chen and Keeper Light are pretty much capping out around level 8, level 9. Ooh, that's an interesting spot. Don't see that every day, but he looks like he was trying to counter ward with a Force Staff. Synderen putting himself on the cliff, putting himself right in harm's way to try to de-ward. And instead it's like, oh, well, we do have vision there, and we just happen to be here. So they impale him, they burn him down, and Synderen, although he still loves them, is probably not, did not expect that, either way. Now we do see Phantom Lancer controlling the Ancients very nicely. These were stacked up for the Gyrocopter, so the fact that the Phantom Lancer is taking them for free is actually really, really frustrating for 3D Clan. Yeah, they have full control of this, making sure that Miracle and Miggle have full vision of what they're trying to keep tabs on. We do see Brewmaster picking up a Vladimir's offering. Great aura for Phantom Lancer's primary. Again, he's not so worried about his illusions, which will inevitably be glaived and flat cannon down. He wants to make sure he himself can right-click nicely. And you can't lifesteal when you have that Diffusal Blade unless that Vlad's is online. So Brewmaster, a great aura carrier, is just going to start things out with that. And that'll be pretty nice for him. And we see up on top lane, Medved and Sadoy really, really putting pressure out up on the top. And although Miggle is going to be able to counter push it out, the fact that he has to stay put in this position here, no matter how mobile he may be, means that they are actually, all three of these guys are out on their own. And so Unicorn has to be very careful about his positioning if he's going to try to go for any aggressive plays on Stalianer, who, again, is here by himself as well. So he does land some Shadow Blade, not too big of an interaction there, and they just kind of fall back there. Long-term, Solo does have a Smoke of Deceit active. He wants to go for that Blink Black Hole, looking for a BKB on top of that. So he went for the Ogre Club for some HP to work with here, and then didn't go for the BKB in full. Just decided to go for the Blink Dagger, and now Solo has a great opportunity to initiate very aggressively and try to lock down his opponents. Speaking of swooping on through the jungle, they walked over the sentry where they know where they are. Synderen might be in a bad spot once more. The Malefice comes on out, and this is terrible for him. Test of Faith trying to pull him out. He Force Staffs up the cliff, so he's gone. He's set. And he is back home safe and sound, but here comes Keeper Light trying to TV back on in. The Primal Split already popped off. They're starting things off, but the Black Hole only hits on Pandas. Unicorn doing a lot of damage to Stalianer. Burns him down. Looking for Enigma, picks him off as well. Hand of God pops off. That's Chen's contribution there, and now looking for Sadoy. They do have that Sentry Ward down, just need a little bit more damage, but they do get the Diffusal and another Sentry. Another well-placed Sentry. Very preemptive, very, very effective for Absolute Legends there, as they get a triple kill for their Phantom Lancer, and actually Miggle picking up a kill for himself. So nice maneuver there. They were able to clean up Luna in a very extensive chase involving lassos and the Drunken Haze to stay on target, but they get him locked down in the end, and Roche is their trophy. They're going to be able to take this Aegis to the bank and use it to push up on the tier 2 and mid, and possibly even further. So really, really nice movement from them. And they also make sure that all these sentries are cleared on out so that they have control of what's going on the battlefield. Speaking of, Dire already starting off with a ward on the plateau just to make sure their jungle isn't ganked up too hardcore. That is going to expire though, and they're going to have to refresh that if they want understanding of that whereabouts individuals they're in. Ooh, perfect timing of this heart. I love this item build from Unicorn. A lot of people deviate and go for different little side things here, but I think once you have that Manta-style Diffusal, the heart is a guaranteed choice, at least in my perspective. If you can survive on through an Eclipse, through an Enigma Black Hole, and just keep on DPSing away, your illusions get super beefy, 1800 base HP right now. It's very powerful. It allows you to do a lot, and it's definitely exactly what you need to do. So, Solianer, what he needs to do to get back in the game, he needs to kind of synergize with Luna a little bit more as far as item selections go. They don't really, I mean, Manta Style is a common item on both of them, but what they really need is just raw attack damage. The Shadow Blade helps in that a little bit, but only providing the plus 30. The 150 not propagating to Flat Cannon is kind of a limiting factor there. So Stolianer wants to get some raw right-click damage. Long term, he's also going to be looking at a Butterfly coming out on the Phantom Lancer most likely, so he probably has to look at an MKB. The question is whether or not he has enough money and farm to be able to pick up an MKB and a Manta Style by the time the Butterfly comes out from PL. And I believe that is the case, but as we've seen in that last fight, the tide of battle can change so very quickly as the gold graph is actually just jumping back down to 0. Absolute Legends has finally fought a hard battle, but has been able to equal it up, and I think that is in part to their really good positioning, their really good timing and movement. Like the fact that so many cooldowns were put into Keep the Light, and then he just force-staffed and Test of Faith away, and then TP back into the fray to help clean up. Really helped out there. But it is also in part a couple of mistakes by the 3D clan. The fact that Enigma jumps in, has a blink and a black hole, and can only hit on a couple of pandas and a bunch of PL illusions really isn't getting them the kills they need. They need to use disables to set up damage, and instead what they're doing is just using disables to stand there and delay damage from the enemies, and they don't really follow it up appropriately. So their team fight is kind of falling apart right now, and until Gyrocopter can get some big items, that seems to be continuing to be the case. Unicorn just pounding away at the tower up top here, and this tier 3 will fall no problem now. Nice initiation, pulling him in, and oh my gosh, just wow, those right clicks. All those little cat illusions just pounding away, and Nyx Assassin stands no chance. Solo coming in for a big black hole, but instead gets targeted. Focus fire, the hand of God, the mechanism. Solo is going to be able to get out, but just barely lancing away. He's looking for some action on Solo, but gets Malefist up. Stolianer, the new target, getting him burned down. He's dropping as well, looking for more. They can go for Zidoi. They can get the Earth Panda stunned. Long range that boulder comes out, and they're going to get the kill on the Prophet as well. Now, that's pretty much it. They don't really need to dive further, and Good Game Will Play comes out. That is going to tie it up 1-1 in this best-of-3 series. They know this Phantom Lancer is just too darn beefy now. Heart finished up on him, 2,500 HP, propagating to illusions very nicely and setting him up so that he cannot be killed. He cannot be dealt with long-term, and it's because there wasn't enough farm on the Luna, on the Gyrocopter. They got ganked up multiple times over, and when it came down to team fights, this is telling the story right here. He puts down some black holes left and right, but even if they're not interrupted, they weren't as impactful as they needed to be. So, nice movement. One thing I gotta say, the unsung hero is the maneuver that Batrider did at the very beginning. We saw the Boots of Speed come out and just go and block off 4 of the pulls. So the fact that 4 creep camps were completely taken off the line screwed over the Enigma. He couldn't get in and find his Blink Dagger early on. So the black holes that should have happened never got that opportunity. He finally got the blink, and the one black hole that he did get with it didn't pan out for him. But I don't know, it's just that kind of aspect of things where you're always behind in farm as the Enigma compared to different things like the Batrider and such for his farm in the jungle and in the offlane. I mean, when the Enigma can't farm as much as a Chen, you know you're having problems. So we have a 270 GPM Chen, and later on the Enigma picked up to 299, but it wasn't for a long while, and that early game was in full control. They got towers left and right, and they were able to get their carry farmed up nicely. I really like the initiation from the Brewmaster in general, and along with that, they just played as a team. They played as a very synergized unit, and they made their team fights play for them rather than against them. So, nice comeback by Absolute Legends. We'll see if they can finish it off with a nice Game 3 to go for a 2-1 victory, or if it's going to go in the other direction, seeing 3D Clan take a rise and get some points on the board there. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This has been Blaze of the Premier League. We'll go on into a quick little commercial/music break, and we'll go on into Game 3 to conclude the series in just a few minutes. Thanks, guys.